There's that button. Okay, you're on the cloud. So, um, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to do a little recap on 2026 forecast. And the reason that I want to do that is twofold. There's a lot of hype right now about 2026, and I think that it's well intentioned, but I want to make sure that we stay on track. And we do. I think it's going to be a much better year. Absolutely, yes, I do. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to be a much better year. But I want us to be realistic about what kind of year it is, and I want us to be realistic about what we're going to have to do to really capitalize. So, off and on for the past seems like 6 months, but it's probably only been 2 months. We've been talking about, you know, this is what 2026 is going to be like. These are the things you should be doing. And we've been kind of talking about, like big picture things and steps that you can take to position yourself well. We're going to take a little different take on it today. We're going to talk a little bit about the market. We're going to kind of get on the same page as far as forecast and expectations for that market go. And then we're going to transition into the day in the life of a top performer. Okay. And this is, are we talking about you, Damien? No, we're not. We are talking about a compilation from a pretty good pool of really high performing agents that I know I've spent time with. We talk about business a lot, and we've kind of taken all that data like, hey, how do you spend your day? What are you doing? We're kind of taking all that data and we're compressing it for you to illustrate for you what a day, what's their workflow like? What are they focused on? When do they do these things? Right. And how does that look when we stack up all the things that we've been talking about? We've been talking about, hey, you got to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay, great. Let's take all that data and let's put it into the life of a top performer. Hold on just a second. I got to give this thing a boost because I can't stand looking at the top of my own head. Hold on. Oh, zooming. Told you this computer is really different. All right, that's better. So that's what we're going to do. So let's talk about the market to begin. Overall, it's going to be better. What does better mean, right? Here's some key forecast highlights to share with you. Okay. You should absolutely be optimistic, but you should be realistic at the same time. All right. Your life is not suddenly going to get massively easier, and the job is not suddenly get massively easier because the market is better. It's not going to be that kind of market. And I think you know what I'm talking about, like a 2020 COVID era market. It's not one of those, right? That's not going to happen. So existing home sales are forecasted to go up, and they're going to go up. It's going to probably be a single digit increase, 6-8%, something like that, right? That's a good dose of sales for you to take advantage of, but it's not like, wow, I really don't even have to do anything or work that hard. I'm going to do 12 units a year. It's not one of those. Okay. Median home prices in all of our markets are forecasted to increase. I think that happens. It's a no-brainer that happens now, particularly when we talk about rates and affordability. But prices are going to increase. They're not going to go down. They're going to go up. Are they going to go up double digits? Probably not. Are they going to go up 5-6%? Probably. All right. And in our markets, a 5% increase, it's a lot of money. Right? I mean, it's a lot of money for the buyer. It's a lot of money for the seller. It's a lot more money for you in commission. It'll be much more stable with the amount of inventory that's going to come in. We're going to have an increase in inventory, and the market's going to be more stable. It's not going to be weighted so heavily one side to a buyer, so heavily one side to a seller. It's going to be a little bit more traditional, stable, easier to deal with. Even though prices are going to go up, affordability to the buyer is going to also increase because rates are probably going to be in a much better position. So it's that same old story, right? If the house is worth $525,000 today and the mortgage rate, and this is not scientific, and the mortgage rate is 7%, and the house is worth $525,000 or $550,000 tomorrow, and the mortgage rate is 5.9%, It's cheaper on a monthly basis to buy the more expensive house. That's affordability, right? So when the rate goes down at the rate that it's been going down lately, when we get into the high fives, low sixes, even mid fives, affordability really opens up, particularly for people in the lower priced housing bracket, right? People where monthly payment really makes a difference. Okay. Like I said, inventory levels are probably going to normalize. It's going to be more balanced. There's not going to be extreme lack of inventory, and there's not going to be extreme overage in inventory, right? Balanced inventory in our markets and all price ranges is 3 months. That's what we call neutral, right? So if you got 3 months of inventory on hand, you've got a neutral market, you got a balanced market. The Northern California tweak to this is that we expect our prices to stabilize across all Northern California markets and swings being reduced, right? That's okay. No more, having to do huge discounts if you're listing, right? No more of that. You should be able to do a good job with comps and pricing. Go out to market at a reasonable price, sell it in a reasonable amount of time. Okay. Are you going to have multiple offers? Not unless you do it in a very certain way. Okay. Are you going to sit on market for months and months and months and months and months when the price is right? Probably not. Okay. That's all good news. Buyers are going to have a little bit easier time because of the affordability, because there's more houses to choose from. They're going to have a little bit of easier time in the market. Sellers are going to be a little bit more comfortable because for the first time in a couple of years, I think they're going to start to see their equity tick up again, right? For the past couple of years, sellers are scared to look at Zillow. They don't want to know what their estimate is, right? That's going to start to go the other way. They're going to start to feel better about it. Some other stuff that's not so obvious. This is going to sound a little bit morbid, but we're starting to lose baby boomers at an increasing rate. Okay. It's just the nature of life, right? Because that is happening, the amount of wealth transfer is going to increase significantly. The amount of trust and probate sales are going to increase significantly. All of that's going to offer you some opportunity, right? When mom or dad or both passes away and that wealth bucket is passed down to the next generation usually does something with it, and they usually do something with mom and dad's house. Okay. There's going to be more of that, right? You're going to see more trust and probate sales on the market because of that reason, right? Just so you know, trust and probate sales aren't scary. The word doesn't mean anything. It just means that an estate is handling the house. Okay. You're going to have an opportunity with all of these situations to really highlight your level of professionalism, your level of knowledge, and your level of service one-to-one. That's going to be a recurring theme throughout this meeting. Okay. You're going to have the opportunity to do that. Consumers are going to finally be in a place where they can evaluate and make decisions about real estate based on facts, data, and need versus if I don't get it now, I'm never going to get it because the next 30 people want it, right? The other side of that coin that we've had for the past couple of years, I don't have to do anything now because it's still going to be there in 4 months when I finally decide to do something. Both of those extremes are going to go away. Okay, it's going to start to get a little bit more stable. Your takeaway from this is the market that we're going into, or the market that we're in right now, could be best described as a steady, stable market versus a booming market or a busting market, right? A steady, stable market rewards an agent who's prepared, informed, and consistent. Right? Prepared, informed, and consistent. People are looking for agents that set realistic pricing expectations and realistic buyer expectations day one. Okay. they're proactive communicators. They set reasonable expectations. They educate clients. They understand. They truly understand market data. I hate the word market data, and they can explain it. They can articulate it, right? They can look at a pile of data Michael's got a client that's got $600,000. Okay. He's talking about buying a house. Michael can take all of the inventory between $500,000 and $650,000. He can take all of that inventory. He can boil it down and he can talk to people about, look, here's the average price per square foot. Here's the average amount of time on market. For whatever house we're looking at or for whatever we're doing, we know that the averages say that it's worth this much. We can adjust up and down from average. You can feel really, really comfortable that I'm telling you to spend $575,000. Okay. He can take that data and he can make it a tool for his client. He can also inform his client based on data. Hey, look, this is a really good deal. You've got to act on this very, very quickly. Or, no, that's not such a good deal. All right, let's go this direction instead. Let's take a look over here. You have systems of how you run your business. Okay, people respond well to systems. They respond well to programs. This is how we do it. Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, let me talk to you about the process that this is going to, what this process is going to look like for you. And most importantly, why we follow that process based on past results, even if they're not yours. Okay. Even if the past results aren't yours. If you want past results to reflect on, talk to me. I can give you some past results. All right. You can illustrate that to clients. Trust is going to be a big one. Okay. Because even though it's stable, you'll still have to illustrate to some buyers and some sellers why they should be making a move, right? They're still going to have questions. They might be locked up a little bit. They're not going to be just necessarily motivated to act. Your guidance, your counsel is everything. And in order for that to be effective, they got to trust you. Okay. You have a huge opportunity with this wave that we've been talking about to take all kinds of business, but only if you're really, really good at your job, right? Those that are really, really good at their job are going to do just fine and be rewarded. Those that are just kind of like, so, it's not going to look a lot different for them than it has over the past couple of years. They might do a little bit more, but not a lot more. They're not going to have big, big gains. All right. And I can already tell you, in talking to agents in our office, our two offices, I can already tell you it is happening. Okay. There is so much more stuff in the pipeline this January than we've seen in the past couple of Januaries. It's crazy how much different it is compared to other years. The people that I'm talking to that have got stuff going on, that are calling me, that have questions, that have clients, that it's no coincidence. They're really good at their job. Okay. Really good at their job. Think about that. Any questions about the market or what I'm saying or what that means or what that means for you? Or hell, if you want to get real bold, ask me if I think you're ready. And we could talk about that before we move to the next bit. Questions, comments, thoughts. I need this to be open, and I need this to, how many people we got? Got quite a few people in here. I need you guys to get some info out of this. Okay. So who's got something they want to ask, or who's got something they want to share, or who doesn't understand some of the info that I just dropped on you? Because I dropped a lot on you in like 11 minutes, 17 minutes. Yeah. Wow. 17 minutes. No?
How many calls? You make 20 calls and only one person answers the phone. How do you get them to answer the phone?
How do you get more people to answer the phone? Um, you can try this. I don't know if it'll actually work, but you can call them. And if they don't answer the phone, hang up, wait 5 seconds and dial them again. Sometimes they think, oh, it must be important. That same number's calling me again. Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Maybe 3 times is the number.
Coming over. I'm coming over.
Maybe 3 times is the number. That's a great question, though. It's a great question. I'm just impressed that you're making 20 calls a day. So good for you. Does everybody think they're ready? Who doesn't think they're ready and is brave enough to say why they don't think they're ready or what they think they're lacking in? Everybody think they're ready?
You know what? I know I'm not, but I know that you got our back. So thanks for
Absolutely.
that. I really do appreciate that. I can't tell you how much.
I absolutely have your back. You can call me anytime. And yeah, usually I will pick up. If I don't pick up, I will call you back for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. Some agent, not some agent, that's rude. Agent that I'm working a transaction with right now, I talked to him. He called at like 8 this morning, right? So I pick up the phone. I go, hey, what's up, man? He's all, well, I knew you'd pick up the phone. And I go, well, why'd you know that? And he goes, well, you always pick up the phone, number one. Number two, how early do you get up? And I go, well, pretty dang early. Why? And he goes, dude, you're sending me email at 5:30 in the morning. I go, yeah, man, early bird gets the worm. All right. All right. No questions. We're moving on. How do top producers spend their day? Okay. This is information compiled. I think the fewest number of units that we've got in this pile of people is like 26. Okay, annually. These guys and gals do business. How do you spend your day? That was the question. Break it down for me. What's going on? It's all a little bit different, trust me, but I tried to pull the similarities, right? And the main reason that I did this is because I didn't want to necessarily tell you that, how I spend my day is how you should spend your day. And I was curious. In the morning, the theme that I got was business first, right? They start the day very intentionally. And what I mean by that is they have a plan. This is what's getting done today, right? And it's mapped out. And I'm going to say in writing, even though probably it's all on a tablet or some kind of digital list, but they have a written plan. About half of them say that that's the first thing they do. They write the plan first thing in the morning. The other half, and I think this is really impressive, they write it the afternoon before or the evening before. Whenever they're done for the day, the last thing that they do is write tomorrow's plan. But the point is, they have a plan. They know what they're getting done. Whatever is most important is what they do first in the morning. Okay. And the reason that they do it first in the morning is they're less likely to get interrupted by the phone, by the text, by the email, by whatever in the morning, right? It takes the world a while to get going, right? If most of the world starts work at 8 a.m., they ain't really working until like 9:30, right? So they'll use that window, that morning window, to tackle whatever's most important because they know there's going to be fewer interruptions. There's going to be fewer interruptions. Now, this is a little bit tricky if you've got little ones, if you got kids, right? Because if you got kids, In the morning, you got to worry about school, you got to worry about gear, you got to worry about lunches, or I don't know, maybe you don't worry about lunches, but back in the day, you had to worry about lunches. You got to worry about all that stuff. You got to get them to school. There's a lot going on in the morning. So that can get a little bit tricky. My personal plan of attack, you guys know I start really early, but my personal plan of attack is I try and get through every bit of email. I try and send every bit of email. I try and get through every bit of recruiting email. I try and do all of that, all of those, kind of electronic tasks, all of the stuff that chews up time during the day, text messages, not phone calls. It's too early. All of that stuff. I try and get that knocked out like by 6. Right? Done. Behind me. The reason that I do that is that by 7:30, 8 o'clock, I want to be available when the phone starts ringing. Right? So think about that. They all have, speaking of their list and their plan, they all have some what I call daily non-negotiables. They will do these things every day at some level. They will never skip it at some level. Prospecting and out calls or outbound out, it could be out texts, out calls, out texts, out emails. The point is that they're prospecting and they're calling people or they're texting people or they're making some kind of communication with people that they're not currently doing business with. They're trying to generate new business, right? They're following up with leads. They're following up with active clients that aren't in contract, right? They're doing their sphere work no matter what. So prospecting and outbound communication, following up with active clients and leads, sphere work, database growth, and understanding what's on market. They do that every single day. Okay. I don't. I don't, but they do. So it might look something like, reviewing the market and they go through all the new listings on the market every day, right? They go through what's sold every day. They go through now they pick a market. Okay. They're not doing California. They pick a market, but they really focus in on that. Even if, let me clarify this for you because I think it's important. Even if they service a whole county, right? Everybody's got a place that they like to consider their hub where they want to be the expert, right? So even if they do the entire county of Nevada, for example, they might only review the listings and really understand what's going on listing wise, pending wise, closed wise in Nevada City, right? Or if they do the entire county of Placer, they may only understand what's going on in Loomis, right? So they do that every day. Those are all non-negotiables. In the middle of the day, that's the time that they focus on current transactions and clients. They're doing showings, they're writing offers, they're scheduling inspections, they're problem solving on all of their transactions, right? They're working their deals in the middle of the day. Later in the afternoon, they switch gears. Okay. Now, I know transactions and clients call at all different times, and you have to deal with that. You can't just say, well, it's past midday. I'm not doing that anymore. I understand that, but they try and block it into that time, and then they're only dealing with what might come in question wise or call wise on a onesie twosie basis. Later in the afternoon, that's when they switch gears. They're working on marketing. Okay. So whatever that means for you or whatever that means for them, that's when they're working on it. That maybe that's scheduling postings. Maybe that's dealing with whatever mailer they're going to send out, right? Any kind of advertising that they're doing. They're working on that in the afternoon, long-term planning stuff. Um, Listing prep. Okay. If they're working on listing prep, oh, I got to schedule inspections for my listings. Oh, I got to schedule a photo for my listings. Oh, I've got to compile all these documents for my listings. That's when they're doing that in the afternoon. This is also when, I told you all of these people, whether they tell you or not, are involved in coaching of some kind. This is also when they switch to self and business growth mode, when they do their training, when they take their classes, when they do their coaching homework, right? They do that in the afternoon. This was really good. None of them are ever really concerned about whether or not they feel motivated. Okay. They feel the same way about the motivation word that I do. It doesn't matter whether they feel motivated or not. They have their routine. They follow their routine with extreme discipline, regardless of how they feel, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the market does not matter. They do the same things day in, day out, week in, week out on a very regular basis, and they don't deviate. This is really important to understand. It doesn't work all the time, right? Just because they do the same things every day in, day out on a regular basis, doesn't mean that every single day they have this radical, awesome result. Most days they have no result. It's just work with no result. But when it comes in waves. They don't stop then either, right? It is really, really normal for a real estate agent to work, grind away, get 3 properties in escrow and go, this is great, and stop the work. True top performers don't do that. Okay. So what's that look like? I asked this question. What's that look like? Well, that looks like long days, right? Because if you've got 3-4 transactions in escrow, and those transactions are taking up a big chunk of your day, and you still have to do the morning bit, the daily non-negotiables, the afternoon bit, and the midday bit, it makes for a pretty long day. Okay. So actually, when they're making money, they're actually working harder, not less hard. If you think about that, which is the exact opposite of what most real estate agents do. When they start making money, they chill a little bit. And that's why they're inconsistent, me included. That's why they're inconsistent. That's why these guys and gals are extremely consistent. Okay. When I boiled it all down, this is what I came up with. These people probably get up pretty early and they win the day before the day gets going. Right? They're so far ahead of the day every day that they can maintain momentum while dealing with all the distractions and all the emergencies and all the fires that come up. I didn't ask any of them what time they get up and get going, but I do know some of them pretty well, and it's pretty early. All right. So I want you to think about this. You can answer if you want, but you don't have to. Let me back up a step. So what we've had for the past 3-4 weeks is we've had Damien telling you, look, these are all the important things that I think you need to do to run an effective business, right? We've got the prospecting work. We've got the sphere work. We've got the profiling. We've got the workman systems training. We've got those things that I think you need to do at a minimum to have a really effective business and to ride this wave. Now, what we've got is some perspective from some people other than me, all right, that are really high performers around this is how we schedule all of that. This is how we deal with all of that on a daily basis. So, what you've got to do now is you've got to take all of that information and you've got to say, all right, what works for me? What works for me? What pieces can I take and what schedule can I use or what schedule can I implement to make sure that I'm doing it on a regular basis with some discipline, okay? And that I can stay consistent. And most importantly, we need to remember as a group that when things start going well, that doesn't mean that you can stop with the regular routine. You have to incorporate that with everything that you've got going on already. So it makes for longer days. All right. But that's the key to consistency over time. So here's what I want you to think about next. If you compare what you do to what they do, and I'm not saying what they do is the answer, but we've got to use it. We've got to have some kind of benchmark. All right. If you compare what you do to what their schedule looks like, what is it that you're doing really, really well? Okay. Where is it that you need to improve? Or what is it that you need to add? And what is going to make the biggest impact in sales results for you? Those three things. What are you doing good? What do you need to get better at? Which of those practices is going to impact your business the most? Okay. Here's what else I want you to think about. What one habit can you say, all right, starting tomorrow, I'm doing this every day, no matter what? No, NMFW. Okay. Which one of those? Anybody want to chat about it? Anybody want to tell me what they're doing well? Anybody want to tell me what they need to get better at? Anybody want to tell me what the one thing they could be doing is that's going to impact their business the most? I'd love to hear it. Nobody?
Yeah, how about 20 calls a day?
It's still there. I mean, the billionaire said,
Tomorrow for sure. It's gonna be all 20 calls in a row for sure tomorrow.
the billionaire said, I'll tell you how to do it, but you're not going to do it. So I'll tell you
500 calls a week.
500.
500 calls a week gets you one deal, man.
Are you really doing 500 calls a week, Alan? I mean, you're the number one agent in the office, so you probably are.
No. Can you see this? Can you see it? You can't see my plan. What you just said is exactly what I do. Want to do every day, but I try to do it twice a week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
But I'll text it to you, and it's just pretty much what you said. It says here it starts at 7, but I started 5:36.
Yeah, I know you and I suffer from the same sickness, buddy.
I know. But what I got here, you're supposed to do 500 calls week. Okay. And it starts at 7. Exactly like you just said it. It goes how it goes the schedule. And then after you're done with all your busy stuff when everybody's sleeping till 10 o'clock, then later on, then you do your I actually go, I'm 62 years old, so I actually give myself a break. I had to walk my dog and go hit balls on the golf course for 2 hours.
Nothing wrong with that.
Then I come back to the office and I'm supposed to do what I got on this list. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's pretty much I had that over my desk and in my bathroom to remind me, hey, dumbass, excuse the language, ladies. You only did that twice this week. You're lying to yourself. Okay, you're not going to do 500 calls a week if you're only going to do it twice. And I have to tell myself and make a blessing with myself and say, hey, it's good because I don't need to do anymore. But there's some of us that need to do more, and that's what you need to do. 500 calls a week, 500 letters a week, whatever you choose to do. I don't do only calls, but I do letters too.
Yeah.
And I just talked to your guy, Joe, today. Joe, not next home, but home something.
Joe.
What's his name? Joe something. He does the home.com.
Joseph. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Joseph.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
he had me in a Zoom for 30 minutes. I'll never get that time back. Okay.
yeah.
I'll never get it back.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, number one agent in the office. There he is.
And I'm not doing that good. Okay. I'm really not doing that good.
Oh, buddy, I love you, man. You're
Okay. Hey,
absolutely right,
awesome.
though. It's a discipline. Um, I can totally appreciate. It does not surprise me that you have the list. It does not surprise me that you hold yourself accountable in such a violent way. Uh, but hey, it's what it takes. Like you said, it's what
I
it
grew
takes.
up in I grew up and my dad was a broker. I grew up sitting in the office while he did just that with the two phones. Because in
Yep.
those days, they didn't have cell phones. So you have one in call and one out call. And I just like, on a pigeon. A pigeon I like to sit on the phone. And it was
Yeah.
the neatest thing, but that's what he did all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me that's your one habit. Somebody else tell me what their one habit is that they're committing to for 2026. So Michael gave us his 20, Alan gave us his 20 times 5 is 100, Michael. So that's 100. Alan gave us his 500. Who else? Somebody else give me a habit. Come on, be brave now. No one? Danielle, you could give us a habit. Shelby, you could give us a habit. They're like, nope, muted, camera off. We're out of here. All right. I'm not going to put you on the spot. So give that stuff some thought, write it down. If you have questions, call me, text me. Let's work through it together. Okay. You got to put work into it to get ahead of it. You really do. And I know it seems overwhelming, and that's totally normal. If you're not doing all this stuff now, it's going to seem really overwhelming. It's not. You just have to start. That's all you got to do. Right. And you don't have to do all the things that the top producers are doing overnight. Okay. You're building, you're starting from where you are, and you're building into that kind of model. So you start building. You add what's comfortable or a little bit of a stretch right now. You're going to get really, really good at that. Then you're going to expand and go on to the next thing. Then you're going to get really good at that. Then you're going to expand and go on to the next thing. And so it goes, and so it goes, and so it goes. The one thing I will say to you that I say to everybody, I want you to challenge yourself, get up an hour earlier. Early bird gets the worm. That's all I got to say. It's so true. So true. Get up an hour earlier and get to work and watch how much more productive you are. All right. Anybody else got anything, or I'm going to get you out of here? It is 40. Thanks for being here. I'm going to click the button in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Call me if you need me. All right. See you later.